Compact bush growth. Fast growing, high producing, early to fruit, easy to harvest, cylindrical and thus easy to stack, plentiful as all get out, perhaps sometimes a little too fruitful. Zucchini, which roughly translates from the Italian as annoying neighbor gift, although there's no clarity on whether it's the neighbor or the gift that's annoying, is not actually Italian. Okay, it is, but with American DNA. See, the zucchini is a fruit of the species Cucurbita pepo, which includes crooked neck squash, patty pan squash, spaghetti squash, acorn squash, and pumpkins, all imported, stolen, taken from the New World to the Old during the Columbian Exchange. The name, I was lying about the neighbor's gift, comes from zucchino. It means tiny squash, and it was developed, get this, at the end of the 19th century by farmers in and around the city of Milan, which at the time was the fastest growing city in Europe. Now, apparently, when you're trying to feed a whole bunch of hungry people who already have a tradition of consuming old world gourds, compact bush growth and all those other aforementioned attributes are good things. Now, the zucchini, or as it was called then, the Nana di Milano, or dwarf of Milan, had no greater champion than this guy. Say ciao to Francesco Ingegnoli, the Paris-trained founder and artifice of Fratelli Ingegnoli, the seed company that revolutionized the sale of crop seeds to farmers and hobbyists by taking advantage of Milan's burgeoning print industry to publish hundreds of thousands of illustrated seed catalogs that were shipped all over the world. And many of these espoused the miracle of the quick-growing, easy to deal with squash that we call zucchini. Now, its seeds were then taken back to America in the pockets of immigrants, many of whom settled around San Francisco, where the plant really got its start here. Now, by the mid-1970s, home growers across the country were so overrun with zucchinis during the summer months that they tried putting it in everything from ice cream to muffins, stir fries to pies, lasagna to milkshakes. And yet, I have to say that during some financially lean years in my early adulthood, cheap summer zucchini became a staple for me, and I really came to love its culinary versatility. To this day, I celebrate what others often shun: big piles of waxy green cylinders going for, as of this morning, a median price of $1.83 per pound. And that's if you actually purchase them rather than simply relieving your nearest gardening neighbor of their summer surplus, as I do. Mr. McGregor, just 3 doors down the street. Matter of fact, my pro move is that I offer McGregor to come myself to harvest them, saving him the trouble, right? That way I also make sure I don't end up with any of those big fibrous monsters that don't serve any purpose other than to make people say, wow. Unfortunately, many farmers still emphasize, size over performance. So, should prime young specimens in the 0.8 to 1 pound range be obtainable, they qualify for membership in the exclusive 3S Club, in that they can be shredded, shaved, and smacked. The first time that I encountered a dish calling for the smacking of cucurbits, it was a recipe for pie huanghua, or smacked cucumber, in Fuchsia Dunlap's 2012 book, Every Grain of Rice. The target of that assault, as stated, was Cucumis sativus, aka the cucumber. And by 2018, it seemed like everybody was just beating the hell out of cucumbers, right? And in recent years, though, I've come to believe that a medium zucchini is an equal, if not superior, candidate for smacking, whacking, or even, light bludgeoning. Now, why would you smack a zucchini around? Well, in its raw state, a zucchini essentially tastes like grassy water with hints of melon and faint nuttiness. We can use it as a delivery system for the flavor, payload of our choosing. And cracking, whacking, or bludgeoning creates crannies, craters, and crevices, which will allow that payload some purchase. So let's chop. It does look painful, doesn't it? All right, for this application, we require the services of 3 small zucchini that will add up to a beginning weight of 1.5 pounds. That's 680 grams starting weight, and that is important for this particular application. Now, you may notice that my zucchini here, and I do have a lot, unwrapped, but not uncontained. You see, once picked, zucchini really do like high humidity, but they don't do well with surface moisture. It is, in fact, the #1 killer of zucchini longevity. So I just keep mine in the crisper drawer, set to humid, right, which shuts off the vent to the rest of the fridge, and I separate them with paper towels, no plastic bags or parchment or membranes or anything. Should also be noted that if they had their way, the temperature in here would be between 41 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit, but that would put everything else in the chill chest in the bacterial danger zone, as I'm doing now. So you might want to use these in a week to 10 days, otherwise cold damage might occur. Also, I never wash zucchini until I am ready to use them. The natural waxy cuticle, it is hydrophobic, but it's incredibly thin, and I really do need it intact, even if that means holding on to some surface dirt or dust until use. Speaking of, have you cleaned your crisper drawer this month by spritzing it with a half-half vinegar water solution and then drying it, with paper towels? No? Neither have I, but we really should. After a good washing, soft bristle brush is helpful here. It is smacking time, not smashing time, not squishing time or bashing time or annihilation time. Okay, smacking. Right? We want to open up the zucchini's tissue along natural lines, creating cracks and crannies and canyons and whatnot. Now, many early recipes, including Miss Dunlap's, call for smacking with the side of a Chinese-style cleaver. Now, I like to use the side of a knife for smaller jobs, say crushing garlic, but for this, I want something that has some actual heft and that doesn't have a blade on it. So I go with a French-style rolling pin. Okay, and I just let the weight of the pen do the work, working from one end to the other. Again, I'm not looking to mush anything up here. Okay, mush zucchini is not good. All right, now, once you kind of cracked everything open, just break the pieces up and use your finger or back of your thumb or a handy grapefruit spoon to scoop out as much of the seed mass as possible, because we just want the firm flesh here. Break this into smaller bite-sized pieces. They don't have to be very uniform. And transfer to a colander and sprinkle and toss on a teaspoon of kosher salt and leave to just drain for half an hour. Now, this is partially about seasoning, but mostly about purging. Remember, this thing's 95% water. Now, as for the dressing, in keeping with tradition, I'm taking my smacked zucchini on an Asian tack, so to speak, beginning with the poster condiment for Gen Z TikTok cooks everywhere, chili crisp. Although chilies are New World foods, by the last decade of the 16th century, probably due to business with the Dutch or the Portuguese, chilies made their way into China, and in the following decades, centuries, these flavors embedded deeply into the cuisines of Sichuan and Hunan, as well as Guizhou and Jiangxi. With chili oils becoming completely commonplace by the time of the Qing dynasty, which lasted from 1644 to 1912. So actually the later part of that. The advance that launched 1,000 noodle bowls here, a million noodle bowls, wasn't developed until the 1990s, when this rather stern-looking lady, Do Wabi, was running this little noodle shop in Guizhou, where she started making this chili oil condiment for her noodles, into which fried chili flakes, roasted or fried soybeans, crispy shallots were added, along with salted fermented black beans. Now, most Americans not used to crispy bits and our hot oils. And the stuff just went globally viral around 2020, when something else went globally viral. Forcing many of us to dine exclusively in the privacy of our own homes. This was great for her, because by 2025, the chili crisp market in North America was worth about $327 million, with multiple brands on the shelves at one time. I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I should make my... Never mind. As I said, dozens of brands available, but I am sticking with Tohuabi's original, which is the Logana, or old godmother variety. We'll need 2 tablespoons of this stuff, and to round it out, we're going to use a tablespoon of black vinegar, my personal favorite form of vinegar, which kind of makes me think of the Chinese version of balsamic vinegar, only it's made from grain instead of grapes and aged in clay vessels rather than wooden barrels. We'll also require 1 tablespoon of a standard issue soy sauce. Low sodium is okay. And a teaspoon of palm sugar. Traditionally, this would be grated right off of a disc or a loaf. If you don't want to go to the trouble, pre-grated versions are available, but I don't think they last as long. We'll also need 1 large clove of garlic, which you'll want to grate very, 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 very small on a microplane grater. Hey, want to see some TV magic? Okay, on TV, that's magic. On YouTube, it's just a cheap trick to keep me from having to do work. Come on. When the half-hour purge is up, just spread the zucchini pieces out on a clean kitchen towel and just kind of a long line. Wrap the towel over and twist from both ends to extract as much moisture as possible. Right? 'Cause the drier the pieces are, the better the final flavor will be. But you don't want to break up the chunks any more than absolutely necessary. Then simply stir the zucchini into the assembled dressing/marinade. Consume all on its own as a salad or as a side to grilled meats, or simply serve it over rice. Tightly sealed in a zip-top bag, this will keep in the fridge very nicely for up to 3 days. Going in. Delightful. Whew. Quite honestly, I could just happily smack my zucchini all summer long, but honestly, it's more the kind of thing I do on my own. When entertaining, we might want to consider something a bit more elegant, say warm zucchini ribbons dressed with lemon, feta, and walnuts. For this application, we also require 1.5 pounds, 680 grams of zucchini, but the diameter doesn't matter quite as much here, so let's say 3 small or 2 medium specimens. While we're here, we will also require the zest and juice of 1 lemon. We're going to need some cheese, 85 grams of firm and well-drained sheep's milk feta, and 1/3 of a cup of fresh mint. I can do this. Yeah, got it. All right, once the washing is done, we will then shave our zucchini into noodles. That's right, noodles, using my absolute favoritist piece of cutlery of all time, and the one most of us first learned to use, the peeler. Have you ever wondered about peelers? I think about them all the time. Now, a patent was procured by one Harvey Law for a rotating peeler back in 1881. But the first hand peeler, that is a handle with a blade onto which a guide is set for limiting the depth of the blade's penetration into the food, and therefore the thickness of the cut, did not come into being until 1904, when Theodore Guest got a patent for his fruit or vegetable peeler. Then, in 1923, Henry Living got a patent for a single-edged peeler featuring struck-out cutting members and joining edges acting as depth guards. Ferdinand E. Fender, love that name, got a pivoting blade peeler patented in 1941, a design that most people my age will recognize immediately. We also probably sliced open our knuckles on them. Then, in 1947 came the Rex. This was designed in Switzerland by one Alfred Urzultans. There's no actual drawing that I can find. Here's a photo. Now, this is the real birth of the harp peeler, named, of course, for the fact that it looks like, that's not a harp, it's a lyre. That's a lyre. I guess nobody wants to use a lyre peeler. Now, I don't actually have a Rex. They're made by Victorinox. I don't have one in house because my last one was confiscated at the airport when I attempted to board with it in my carry-on bag. Doesn't matter. This one Very, very similar. It's got rubberized handles, so it's not a true Rex. Now, I really like heart peelers because they can produce relatively wide, even strips of food. It would be very hard to do with a paring knife, if not completely impossible. For peeling potatoes and uneven surfaces, things like potatoes, I prefer a straight blade model like this, got a little gouging tool for digging eyes out and things like that. But these are not very good for making long noodles out of food. For that, you want a harp. Now in this kitchen, we use these little guys made by a company, also Swiss, I think, Kuhnrikon, Kuhnrikon. Not an endorsement, come in a lot of colors, but they're incredibly inexpensive. They stay sharp for years. However, if you want to make noodles out of wider things, you might want to go after something with a 2 to 3 inch blade. I'll stick with, I'm just going to take them all. I love them. I love peelers. To shave noodles, just slide your peeler down from the stem to the blossom end, applying even pressure. And just keep harvesting until you feel the kind of little bumps of the seeds. That's when you stop, rotate the zucchini 90 degrees and start harvesting again until you've worked your way all the way around. And that'll leave you with just kind of this big square seedy core, which can be saved for another purpose. By the way, when people like me say saved for another purpose, most of the time, we have no idea what that purpose might be, which is why in so many kitchens, another purpose is code for compost. Sorry about that. Okay, once you have all of your noodles, move them to the colander again and toss with a teaspoon of kosher salt. And just leave them this time for 5 minutes to give up some of their moisture. Then, without rinsing, transfer to paper towels or a clean towel to blot dry. Just leave them while assembling the dressing. Okay, besides the aforementioned cheese and herbage, we will need all of the zest of the lemon and 2 tablespoons of its juice. We also require 75 grams of walnuts, roughly chopped, third of a cup, we'll call it 30 grams of breadcrumbs, preferably homemade, 1 medium shallot minced, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, extra virgin, and a teaspoon of Aleppo pepper. Now, a fruity, moderately hot chili flake, traditionally from north of Syria, around the city of Aleppo, but now also produced in Turkey. Aleppo chilies are allowed to fully ripen, not actual size, before they're dried and crushed rather than ground, typically with oil and a little bit of salt. The flavor is fruity and earthy with a heat that's somehow kind of like round and smooth instead of jaggedy and sharp. You know, personally, I don't know why nobody's ever made chili crisp out of it. Side note, several other traditional chilies are processed in much the same way and sold under the broader category of Pul Biber, P-U-L, Biber. And if you can find Aleppo, Pul Biber will certainly do just fine. And now, prepare for another cheap YouTube trick. Ha! There you go. I know you've seen that before, but have you seen this? Ha ha! Back again. And we could do this all day, but let's not. To build the dressing, park a 12-inch skillet over medium-low heat and add the walnuts and just kind of toss them occasionally, well, frequently, for about 5 minutes or until they take on a little bit of color and start to smell nice and toasty. Just keep in mind that, like any nuts, they smell nice and toasty and then immediately smell burnt, so act accordingly. Then add the oil, the shallot, and the Aleppo pepper and stir for about 2 minutes. Follow that with the breadcrumbs and cook for another 1 minute before killing the heat and adding the lemon zest and juice. Then stir in about half of the feta and then fold in the zucchini noodles. Take your time with that. Then add the remaining feta. I like to have some more melted than the other. And finish with the mint leaves. Always fresh herbs last. You serve this as a salad or as a light main, which is what I really like to do. Oh, and as for a wine, a nice grassy Sauvignon Blanc would be nice. Now, is this my very, very favorite zucchini dish? No, it is not. There's another one that I like even better that's actually a kind of, well, I like to call it the fritteresque. And if we just, all right, we'll go get started. I'm gonna eat this. Right, for this application, we only require one medium zucchini, say 10 ounces, 285 grams, give or take. We also need 3 medium scallions. And also going to need some Parmesan, 30 grams of Parmesan cheese. Going to grate that, and 2 eggs, which I'm sure I can handle here. Okay, I got it. All right, besides the zucchini, the scallions, the eggs, and the Parmesan, we require 1/4 cup of olive oil, not extra virgin, not any virgins at all. And then 15 grams each. That's a tablespoon plus a teaspoon of all-purpose flour, white rice flour, and potato starch. Now, if that tells you anything, it should be that something is going to be crunchy. Okay. We also need 1.5 teaspoons of dried dill, 2 grams kosher salt, which is 1/2 teaspoon if you're using diamond crystal, and let's call it 5 grinds of black pepper. I'm not even going to say anything. After a good scrubbing, shred your zucchini using the large holes of your favorite box grater. Then move back to the colander and combine with the scallions, the dill, salt, and the pepper. And toss and allow that to purge for 15 minutes. Meanwhile, combine the flours and the potato starch in a medium bowl and just set aside. When the purge is done, just kind of press the zucchini mass against the side of the colander to remove as much of the liquid as possible. Then turn it out into a clean kitchen towel. Pull up all the corners and just twist to wring it out as much as possible. We need this stuff dry, so don't hold back. Then transfer to the flour mix and just toss, breaking up the clumps of zucchini into as many little pieces as possible to thoroughly coat. Finally, scatter that onto a sheet pan and leave to dry for at least 10 minutes, up to say half an hour. And I know this looks complicated, but it's not. When you're ready to cook, pour the olive oil into a 12-inch cast iron skillet, and it really does need to be cast iron. Park over medium heat, no higher, okay, for say 2 minutes. Then just scatter the zucchini over the entire bottom of the skillet so it looks kind of like lace. Crazy ass lace, but still lace. Do not press down at this time. Just let it slowly brown as is. Right after about 3 minutes, gently press down with a really flexible spatula or a fish turner. We just want a slightly more zucchini skillet contact. Don't try to flatten it though. We want nooks and crannies for maximum crispiness, which is what we are after. Oh, go ahead and mix the Parmesan and egg together at this stage. Set aside. All right, after about 5 minutes of cooking, kind of lift the edge of the zucchini disc and just check for the browning underneath. It should be almost mahogany. If it's not, cook another minute and then take another peek. Okay, now pour the egg mixture over the entire surface of the lace and kind of spread it out with a spatula or a spoon so that you get it down into those nooks and crannies, all right? Some of it's gonna go over the edge, perfectly fine. Now, this is gonna set pretty quickly, so you're gonna have to work fast there with the spatula. And just leave it be for 1 minute, but no more. Now, there's a hard part to this recipe, and I'm not saying there is, but if there is, we have arrived at it. You're gonna take 2 spatulas and just kind of run under and flip the disc. Don't think about it, just get in position and do it. It'll be fine, probably. Cook 1 more minute. Just slide the fritteresque out onto your cutting board and cut into squares or triangles with a pizza cutter or sharp knife. As for serving, maybe a little sour cream, but then, well, maybe not. In any case, this is just part of a fabulous all zucchini dinner. All of these dishes, extremely habit-forming, but I really do like this fritteresque, as I call it, because it brings out the nutty crispness that only zucchini can deliver, at least as far as the Kirkerbit family is concerned. Well, that about does it for this. What the deuce? That's my neighbor, Mr. McGregor. Hold on, I'll be right back. Jeez, crappy timing. Hi, Mr. McGregor, how are you? Oh, great, yeah, thanks. Bye-bye. The gift. Well, it looks like I've got my work cut out for me. See you next time on...
Coming to a stage near you, maybe, An Evening of Alton Brown presents the legend as you've never seen him and probably never will again, even though that's exactly what he said the last time he did this. Visit altonbrownlive.com for show dates and ticket information.